Cool. So this was Sunday. It's currently Tuesday. I'm still just catching up in amongst getting work done and everything else. I'm catching up on the. I'm only 2 days behind now, so we're nearly back on top. So yeah, so Sunday, pretty early start to the morning. Sterling just gave us a heap of shit. I mean, like he's 8 weeks old, so what's to be expected really. So yeah, we got a pretty early start. We forgot to set the grow clock. For those who are familiar with grow clocks, you'll understand the value of that and the error of our ways. And for parents with young children who don't have grow clocks, do yourself a favor. You can thank me later. So anyway, we it sounds like a joke, right? But it's a clock where it illuminates when the kids are allowed to get out of bed or get up or whatever, and they're always up at like 5:30 or 6 o'clock or whatever. So this way, you're actually able to have them wake up at a reasonable period of time because they get to see the clock and the stars count down and all that sort of thing. So it sounds like a gimmick, works a treat. Like I said, trust me, you'll thank me later. Anyway, we made the error of not setting the grow clock, and so the kids were up nice and early, and we were like, all right, go back to bed. No, it's not time, right? Not time to get up just yet. And the kids are legends like that, eh? So they were like, okay. So what did we do? We went through, we went and got some coffee. We all jumped in the car. We went and got some coffee because I was going to take Sterling for a drive. And we ended up going for a bit of a ride. And I said to the kids, we're like, well, let's just go for a drive and just, see what happens and see what we want to do. And I said to the kids, Beck's there and, what do you want to do? Do you want to go to the park or something? And this is, Sunday morning. And we flagged church because the kids are all crook. And yeah, and then Beck said, well, why don't we take the training wheels off the bikes and go riding with the kids? And we were like, all right, sure thing. So Lexi was like, no, don't want to. Until he was like, yeah. And it's so funny seeing their different personalities, right? Because like, I remember a little while back before we headed down to Perth for this workshop, I remember we went to check out the BJJ school in town, and it's really interesting, hey, because Tilly's the more. No, I mean, all the girls are really tender, but there's a story I remember. She must have been maybe 2.5, 3-ish, and she came back and she had an apple for me, and she was, I was meeting up with Jethro, talking about work, and she was out the front and she held this apple up to show Uncle Jed, and Jed came in and was like, oh, is that for Dad? She's like, uh-huh, and he takes a bite out of her apple, and I kid you not, it cracks me up every time. She looks at him, looks at the apple, looks at him, looks at the apple, and then just hooks him straight in the jaw. Whack! And he's stunned. Like, he's this guy and he's, mid-20s, late 20s-ish. No, he's mid-20s now, I think. And this 3-year-old just chips him. It's the best thing ever. And I'll sit down and, like, I'll watch an entire, like, I love watching boxing. I'll sit down and I'll watch an entire fight with her, and she loves watching boxing. Go to gymnastics with her. Gymnastics, she'll there's the PCYC, they do the boxing as well, and she'll literally just stand in the doorway and watch everyone train. Like, she loves it. She's mesmerized by it. Hey, like, anyway, so we went to, and I said to Beck, I was like, my rule is all my girls have to do some sort of martial art, or all my kids, but irrespective of whether, they're boys or girls, my girls are included in this, they have to do some martial arts. So we went and checked out the BJJ, because I feel like that's a pretty reasonable place to start, and I feel like that's very healthy, learn to grapple and wrestle and, use your opponent's energy and rah-rah. So we headed there, and I'm thinking Tilly's going to be into it. She was so apprehensive, just really like, oh, no. Lexi was like, yeah, let's go. I'm like, what? And I find that so interesting. Hey, like, there's so many times that I'm surprised. And so anyway, so in this instance, Lex, we thought that Lexi might be at the age where or the stage where she wants to start. Goodness me, sorry. She wants to start riding without her training wheels, right, on her bike, and she's 6. And no, but Tilly was dead keen. So I grabbed my shifter and that, and what I did was, we did a bit of practicing, and then we got a scarf and we put it under her arms. So I'd run beside her, holding her arms up, so that way she was balancing most of the way, and I wasn't holding the bike per se. And and it was a couple of times. I remember someone saying ages ago, like, what's important to your kids now. Like you need to treat the things that are important to your kids now like they are important to you, because eventually it's going to be the inverted as well, where you're going to want to do things with them, and if you haven't actually given them the like shown value in the things that they appreciate, they're not going to value the things that you appreciate either. And not to say you do it because you want your kids to do things with you, although obviously you do, but it's the I think it's the relationship thing, and showing them that, yeah, you know what, and building that self esteem and going, yeah, I do actually value what you're interested in, even though it's something that's not necessarily what I'm interested in. And so what ended up happening was, they did a lot of practice, and they were running kind of around everywhere, and riding the bike, and Liza was keen, and she was on a little, like, push pedal thing, and like a little push bike, the whatever, like the Flintstones bike, right? And yeah, so toward the end, she was getting a good probably 5 or 6 meters, 5 or 6 meters riding the bike, and she loved it, absolutely loved it. And she was like, "Oh, Dad," this is down at Twin Dams. She was like, "Oh, Dad, I want to go ride around the lake." And I'm like looking around, I'm like, "Oh, babe, I don't know. Like, can we just go down the hill?" And then I was like, oh, "You know what, Billy? Like, we've got nothing on today. Stop being a fat, lazy piece of shit and just do it." So we did, so it took us, I don't know, 5 or 10 minutes or something like that. And we ran around this lake, around the dams, and was holding her up, and she had a stack. Actually, this was really cool. She had a stack, and I could see that she was kind of on the edge of starting to lose it. And I was like, "Wow, you had a crash! Well done!" Rah! And you could see, like, it was like a little moment of confusion, and then she was like, "Oh." I was like, "Yeah, you didn't even hurt yourself. That's amazing, babe. Like, you're so good at crashing. Awesome, babe. Well done. Jump back on your bike." I looked at Beck, and Beck looked at me, and we're like, "Yeah, we're safe." So, yeah. So anyway, so we did that for a bit, and obviously Lex rode a bike around, and toward the end, obviously, like, Tilly and Lex compete a fair bit, and so Tills I was running beside her with the scarf under her arm and everything else, and Lex and her were racing, and Lex had her other bike and that on, and it was good. It was pretty neck and neck, and yeah, no, it was cool. So yeah, so I mean, Lexi's super super thoughtful with her things, hey. And what happened was we thought she lost her thongs. She's in a Moana era at the moment, right? And and so Beck, for her birthday, bought her a pair of Moana thongs, and she lost them. She took them off when we got to the park, and I was just like, like, we literally looked everywhere, and there was the only spot where it could have been picked up. There was a dude on a bike, which wouldn't have made sense for him to grab, but there was this other kid running around, and I was like this close to going wording up this dad and his kid, and I had a look in the car and had a look in my ute, and sure as eggs, they're in the tray. So Lex is freaking out and being like, stressing out because she thought she lost her special thongs and stuff like that, and then turns out that no, like, she always looks after her stuff. Eh? She's really really diligent with that, so that was really good. Anyway, we were headed home for naps, because it was, yeah, we've got a family birthday in the Arvo, and then a friend of mine, he runs a trades based business, and he's looking at going open book as well, and just doing the going open book, and doing like a bonus structure with his team also. So he was really curious. He's like, "Hey man, like, I'm really keen to hear how your meeting went with the team and what you do different." And I've kind of already outlined in the previous, I think in the previous video, what I do different. Or was the maybe video before? Yeah, episode 37 there. Ultimately, like, I just had too many slides. I really should have bullet pointed it a lot. I should have started right at the very, very start and explained to the team that they're going. The reason we're doing this meeting is that I want them to have a profit share in the business. So should have kind of highlighted that. It definitely should have highlighted right at the start that no one's job's in jeopardy. Like that's the business is doing fine. There's no reason for concern. Unfortunately, like I kind of didn't. It took a little while for the team to work out that that was okay, and we're not having this meeting because we've got no money in the business. It's just that okay, the business is doing really good, and we want it to do better, and I want them to be rewarded for that happening. And and that unfortunately that there was some like really good stuff right at the end that I wanted to get into that we didn't get into, that now we're doing it we're Tuesday night. So yeah, so that's unfortunate. Obviously I would have liked to have a bit more of an impactful meeting with the team. But it's just one of those things, like when I think around like leadership skills, like specific skills, I'm really one of the things that I'm learning and developing is my ability to be able to present better, and hold more engaging meetings, and that's one of the skills that I'm finding I'm lacking at the moment. So so if anything, it's just kind of highlighted. Okay, well, it was very similar feedback from our last meeting. Our last meeting like ran over, or last big all hands meeting kind of ran over a bit, and unfortunately, that's just our area of improvement for me. So so it was really cool catching up with him, kind of talking about it and strategizing, and what he's looking at, and that was really good. I came home for a quick nap because I was screwed, and the other day, right when Lex and Tilly, they were able to go buy a like something with their money that they've saved. Well, one of the things that came with Tilly's toy was like this little tiny little blue cat. We said to her, I was like, sweetheart, like if you keep putting it in your mouth, we're going to throw it out. Please don't let us make that mistake. Please don't make that mistake again. We don't want to do this. And unfortunately, she put it in her mouth. And this goes back to the whole thing of being true to your word as a parent. I think it's super important to make sure that the future is secure, and that our kids learn to understand that the future is trustworthy. And so we told him, we're like, hey, we told her, we're like, listen, don't put it in your mouth, babe. I don't want to have to make you throw it out. Please don't put it in your mouth. But what I definitely don't want more than throwing this out is I really, really do not want you to choke on a toy because you couldn't keep it out of your mouth. So if I have to choose between throwing it out and upsetting you, or you choking on a toy, I'm going to choose to throw it out. Throw his eggs, and I'm having to throw it out. So that sucked. That sucked. So then after that we headed out to it was my cousin's birthday, so shot out, and it was really good. Hey, like caught up with a few people we haven't caught up with in a while. Kind of shared life and shared some sort of philosophy around business and approach to leadership, and just kind of we all shared what we've been learning, and that's been really cool. It was really cool. So that was good. And it's always awesome. I find that having these conversations with people and having those perspectives, like it's always good. And again, it goes back to what I was saying in one of the other episodes earlier. Is like the no man's an island. No one's self-made. It's just it doesn't exist. It's an egotistical prank to pull on yourself to think that you're self-made. And and every like sure you could labor and try and everything else to try and make all this stuff work, or you could actually just get around the people that have been there and done that and champion you and make it happen that way instead. So that's where I'm like, well, I'm very, very grateful for the relationships that I've got around me, especially in the business world. There's so many people that have gone before me, and they've got so much more experience than I do. And so leveraging that and being able to have conversations that are transparent with people who are open and willing to have those conversations and share their advice is always valuable, so yeah, really, really good. So so anyway, so we played the back nine. Oh, the front nine. Yeah, the front nine. And had a bit of a hit into the driving range. Funny with golf, hey, like I'm not a massive golfer. I pulled off some pretty good shots. Like there were a few shots I was really, really happy with. And the trick that I learned, hey, was so there was a charity fundraiser. Oh shit, maybe 9 months ago. I don't know. And in one of the holes, you could pay the pro to take a hit for you, right? To drive for you. And so this guy, he's there, and I watch him wind up his shot. Joost, Dutch fella from memory. Yeah, he's Dutch. Yeah, not in Cal anymore, but he's a legend. And I watch him wind up this shot to drive, and it's super, super slow and intentional. Like I'm watching him, like he's got his, he gets his stance and he's like got the club and he's winding it up and holding it, and then he just slowly, real slowly, slow, whack, and it just sailed. And I was going, you're kidding. So then when I went to drive, that's exactly what I did. Really, really slow, got my good stance, really, really slow, and then just like slowly wound it back like that, really intentional about my movements, and then just followed straight through, smack, and it was probably one of the best drives I've ever done. I was like, oh, take your time perhaps, so really enlightening. And I think, like, obviously I don't play golf very much, like I might have played golf once between then and now. And so then on Sunday when I was playing, the interesting thing, like for the first probably like 3 or 4 holes, I had a couple good shots, but nothing crazy. And then I think it was maybe hole 4 or 5, and I started just going, I'm just going to be really intentional about this, and I wouldn't swing unless I felt good about the swing I was about to take, so much has to do with your thought life and your mindset. Hey, it's so incredible. So I'm standing there at these these shots, be it with with an iron or a wood or whatever, right? And I'm standing there, and I've got stance, and I'm moving moving my shoulders in place and my hips, feet, all that sort of stuff, and kind of until I'm like, all right, feels good. And then I'm just focusing on the ball, and I'm thinking about the shot I'm taking, and I just wait until it feels good, until like I feel right about taking the shot. And dude, it was incredible. Hey, like the change was really cool. Did I do a lot of really shit shots after that? Yeah, for sure. Like, by no means a scratch golfer, and yeah, so it was interesting. I was pretty gutted actually. I just jumped on. I had a nap and I woke up super groggy, and I was feeling a little bit under the weather, almost like a bit of a cold coming on, and so like kind of had to kind of get the momentum going. And when we went to play golf, I bailed, and I know that the kids always want to say goodbye, and whatever, but I always want to like make sure that the kids have got closure and stuff, even if like it makes it sound like it's traumatic. It's not the case at all. But even Beck messaged me. I said to Beck, I was like, like even we've gone for a couple hours. I miss you, babe. And she was like, yeah, I miss you too. And the kids really missed you. They were gutted that that they didn't get to say goodbye. I was like, shit. So completely just slipped my mind. So it was funny, because like I kind of felt a little bit disappointed in myself that it was something as simple as saying goodbye to my kids. But probably a big part of that was that my cousin's kids came with us to play golf, and I was like, oh shit, And so like their mates have left, and then and they didn't say bye. He just kind of like ghosted, and I was like, I felt like a bit of a dog. And yeah, kind of came home, and actually they came back and picked me up, and we came home, and we were able to do the savings charts, the savings goals for the kids. So when Lexi and Tills went and bought, Lex bought a kettlebell and Tilly bought that toy, that teddy. They each picked something that they wanted to save for, and so we said we'll do a savings chart for you, and we'll help you guys. We'll champion you while you save your money. And yeah, and so we went home and we actually developed drew up the savings chart for them. And then obviously Beck and I, we also did our we've got like a bit of a weight loss competition between us, because we both want to lose 20 kilo. And so my goal when I get to the end of when I reach 20 when I lose 20 kilos, so I get to 85, I'm gonna buy myself a pair of RMs, and Beck is going to buy herself a bunny, which is great. She loves rabbits, hey, so she's always had rabbits growing up, and I guess by way of osmosis, I've kind of come around to rabbits. Yeah, it took a little while, but we're finally there. So yeah, so we did that with the kids and just kind of explaining to them, like, okay, like when you get $1, you get to color in this bit. They're like, oh, they're probably more excited about the coloring than anything else. When you get to do this, you get to do another one. Like, oh yeah, so if you want to do all of these, how many dollars do you need? And they would count them out and be like, 10, 10, 15, wow, yeah, that's right, that was cool. They're like, Dad, can we go sell Lucky Dips? I was like, how about you go sell Lucky Dips at school tomorrow? They're like, yeah, because I've got these Lucky Dips from the thing they did earlier. And so, yeah, so that was really cool. Kind of wrapped up the night, and I was pretty done. Yeah, I just, not proud to say it, but I was barking at the kids and getting pretty frustrated getting them to bed and all that sort of thing, eh? So, yeah, certainly lacked stoicism in that moment. And ultimately, and this is the ridiculous thing, when I actually like did the autopsy on my shitty attitude, it was just because I felt disappointed that I'd let myself down, that I didn't really consider. Sounds ridiculous. That I didn't even consider like the kids when I knew that they would have missed me. Like, they were already, emotions are already high. They were already exhausted, and I was just like, deuces, I'm going to go play golf and just be a selfish prick. So, yeah. So that was pretty ordinary. But yeah, it's just amazing how you know our shitty attitudes are usually just because of one particular thing. Yeah. But anyway, that was pretty much it. It was a good day, ish. Actually, it was pretty shit toward the end. Lexi reckons to us. Or she said to Beck, she was like, "Oh, today wasn't a very good day." And I was like, "Well, in my head, I'm like, sometimes you need to have a shit day. You can't always be duckies and bunnies." So, but yeah, whatever.